All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to this, the third session of the Soul Sword Forge. My name is Sam Zimmerman, and I will be running the game this evening. I use he and him pronouns. I forgot to say that. We are playing Trophy Gold, which is a uh, horrific, dark take on the fantasy genre. It is a very kind of grim story where we have our three adventurers who have delved into the depths of this castle to try and recover what few treasures they can and make it out and pay their debts. We are going into a lot of kind of heavy themes with this game, and so we are using a lot of safety tools. First off, we are using lines and veils. I have already gone over the lines and veils with everybody else here, but we are also using the X card, we are using script change, and we are using the open door policy. A link to read more about all of those things will be in the description of the video if you want to learn more about those. This game is organized through the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet is an online gaming community where you can go and sign up for awesome games like this, play with a bunch of other like-minded, cool people like these three people here, and get to play fun, awesome games. So you can find more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com, where you can also read about all the podcasts and the Codex Zine, all the other wonderful stuff that the Gauntlet does. And again, that link will be in the description. And with that, let us meet these wonderful, awesome people. So I'm just going to go clockwise on my screen. So when I call on you, why don't you just introduce yourself, your pronouns, and give us a little blurb. Actually, no, we'll introduce characters in a second. I have a thing for that. So just introduce yourself, name, pronouns, and if you want to pitch a social media or something, feel free to do so. I have Gerald going first.
Hey, yeah, I'm Gerald. I use he, him pronouns, and I will save everything else for later. Thanks.
Okay, sounds good. Daniel.
Hey, I'm Daniel. I use he, him, they, them pronouns. Definitely do not follow me on social media.
Will do. And John.
Hey, I'm John. I use he, him pronouns. I also am the developer behind a website called rollwithme.xyz. There's actually a new version coming out at the start of March that's going to revamp a lot of stuff and hopefully be a big improvement. So go check it out.
Very excited for that. Roll with me is awesome. All right, and so let us introduce our characters. And when you do introduce your character, if you can also give a short flashback to when you first heard the rumors about the Soul Forge, which is a kind of a mythical, rumored forge that lies at the depths of this castle that can supposedly create anything from nothing. And it was kind of the whole reason that the sorcerer who owned this castle became so powerful, and that's at least what the rumor is. And so let's actually, if we go in character keeper order, we go back exactly through the same loop again. So Gerald, why don't you introduce us to Rasay and give us a little flashback scene of you hearing about this place.
Yeah, I think that Rasay heard about the forge at the depths of the castle back when he was a knight. So quite a ways back in his time, he was sitting around the table at the Order of Griffo under, Lord Nevin's leadership, and there were other folks around the table, other knights telling, tall tales, it seemed at the time, of their exploits and rumors and whatnot. And the one of the more haggard and elder knights at the table had spoke of oh, in this town of Wiltburg, yonder hills sorts of things, there's this castle, and could you believe this thing that this forge was meant to be able to create just about anything? And could you imagine what we could do with that kind of power? But you know, being a younger knight at the time, I dismissed it, and it was, that kind of a moment.
Yeah, I love that. That's good. And Daniel, why don't you introduce us to Elysium?
Sure. So I'm playing Alicio. Alicio is a pathetic, beast-bitten scab of a man. He is incredibly unlucky. Was sold by his parents to um, someone when he was a child. Grew up on the streets, trying to fend for himself. Learned how to steal and how to survive. Um, he fairly recently, fell in love with a noblewoman named Annalise, who is using him for sport and amusement, and has promised to marry him if he can recover the soul forge for her and her family. Um, I think for the flashback, I think that um, we see Alicio in a room with Annalise, and he is all large eyes for her, and she is all coy smiles with him. And the view that we have of them is actually from some kind of a crack in the wall, where behind all of her friends sit and watch as she plays with Alicio, and they twitter and they laugh and they smirk at each other. And as she tells Alicio that she would be happy to become his wife if only he returned returned from the castle with the soul forge. And of course, he agrees immediately and sets out to do just that.
That is wonderful and tragic. And John, why don't you introduce us to Parda?
Yeah, so Parda is a woman who was raised sort of on the edges of the frontier by a witch. And so I think, part of Parda's flashback is being, a young teenager and sneaking into the witch's room one afternoon and looking through their notes and their documents on things, and finding these references to this soul sword forge, and then the witch coming into the room and reprimanding her, uh, probably giving her some lengthy list of chores to go and complete, and not to come back until they're done.
Of course, that makes sense. All right, I love it. And so let us hop back to where we were, which was a pretty calamitous moment. Um, we return to the throne room, which is this very tall, kind of imposing room with these large arches that make you seem insignificant and tiny as you walk through the center of this room. The walls are lined with rows and rows of chairs with little nameplate inscriptions above them. Each one of the chairs has um, a set of manacles and shackles connected to them. Hi, Jan. I'm going to finish describing this, and then we will introduce Jan and your character. And so we kind of pan through this scene, and we come across our four characters. Parda, Elisio, and Rase are all kind of kneeling with their hands over their heads as visions and visions of their loss and their loved ones kind of cloud their mind and force them to their knees as the wind rips around. And in the center of this all, we see Vero with a scroll held high, chanting into the void. Jan, why don't you introduce yourself and then give us a quick moment of Vero's past. When you introduce Vero, can you give us the moment that you first heard about the Soulstone Forge?
Okay, so my name is Jan. My pronouns are he, him. The moment I first heard about the Soulstone Forge was probably quite a while ago. I think that's probably one of those things I've heard in pieces. Vero is an antiquarian, and as a result of that, he sort of picks up rumors and gets little artifacts and tidbits and so on. And so I think this is the kind of thing that he's sort of pieced together over the years, you know, starting off from being sort of just like a vague myth, and then gradually believing in it increasingly.
I like that. And to the point where you actually have this proof, this evidence that this thing exists, and you've brought it to this room and tried to invoke it. And now, as the wind rips around this room, you feel something pulling, like the scroll itself is pulling something back into this world. And the statue that sits at the far end of the room in the leftmost of the three large thrones in this throne room, its eyes glow white, and you can see that the scroll is almost pulling something out of the center of this statue. A figure in a white dress, the rest of her nearly the same color, begins to pull itself out of the center of this statue. Clawing, screaming, she attempts to pull back, to grab back onto the statue, go back to the safety of where she was. But Vero, with your words, you have pulled her out, pulled her back into this world. The rest of you blink as the ritual starts to fade, and you can kind of blurrily see this scene unfolding in front of you. Vero, you have a little bit of kind of autonomy in this moment. You can feel that while the ritual is continuing, even though you are even though you have stopped speaking, you have this scroll in your hand, and the scroll is doing something. If the scroll is still reacting to the world around you, this woman is halfway out of the statue. She has reached around at this point and has grabbed onto the head of the statue, and is almost like this wind is almost like blowing her out of the stone from behind. Do you want to do anything in this moment, or do you let the ritual finish its course?
I think I think Vero is like suddenly overcome by this sort of passion for this to complete. And so maybe we see him as kind of get like, you know, his hair starts blowing, like his comb over is like lost all its comb overness. And I think I think like I kind of picture his clothes sort of getting whipped up. And he's like a sight to behold, right? Because he's covered in like this tar and feathers and a little bit of spittle and vomit probably on him from earlier. And you know, this hair's getting whipped up now. He's like completely disheveled. But I think he looks like serious and grim for once. And I think he's determined. So I think he maybe like staggers his stance and like really leans into the scroll and maybe tries to sort of control the magical energy in whatever intuitive way he feels he can.
I like that. So, how are you trying to control this? Are you trying to like feed it and keep it going? Are you trying to like direct this, or like what does that look like?
Right. I feel like Vero, in this, like, so we sort of established that this scroll, he knew kind of where he needed to use it, but it was sort of a mystery to him exactly.
Mhm.
Like he knew, at what point it was supposed to be drawn, but he didn't understand how it works or what it does exactly. So I think he's sort of leaning on his like intuitions and sort of antiquarian experience. And I feel like he's probably heard um like some myths about this figure, and I feel like he has the intuitive sense that perhaps the scroll is sort of giving him a like a sort of a command over this creature or this spirit. And so I think he's going to yell out at it, like beckon it forward, command it forward. He's going to say something like, um come forth, I command you.
Okay, I love that. I love that scene. As Vero is shouting out to this woman who is uh, getting herself pulled out. I should mention the statue that she is coming out of is probably 1.5 to double the height of a normal person, probably 9 to 10 feet tall. She is normal sized. She is a about the size of a normal woman. She is slightly transparent at this point, but even as you watch, she is becoming more and more corporeal and solid. Um, and I think that Eliseo um, almost recognizes some of the scream and the pain because you experience the same pain every time you transform. And it is not a pleasant experience. And I think that as Vera was calling out to this woman and pulling her out of the statue, she loses her grip and comes flying and almost like skids across the floor, um, and comes to a stop. I think I love this scene maybe of her like sliding across the floor and coming to a stop right in front of Eliseo.
Yeah, so I think this entire time Eliseo has been like looking pained uh between Vero and this woman, like he wants to say something, right? Like he wants to tell Vero to stop, but he can't because Vero is ostensibly his boss right now. And so he's torn, and he kind of does this like half hop half run, like a half step between the woman and then to Vero and then the woman and then to Vero. And when she finally comes out, um and sort of skids to a stop in front of him, he was just about to maybe leap at Vero, but instead he looks down at the woman and he kneels down to her and tries to comfort her. So
Okay.
he puts his his hairy, dirty hands on her cheek, and tries to whisper, the sweetest things he knows, which are not very sweet.
Okay. So as you reach down and try and touch her, your hand like goes halfway through before it hits anything physical. It's almost like there's a shell of this like ghostly form that is getting filled out from the inside as this flesh slowly kind of forms inside of it, and she is still sobbing. And I think you try and touch her, and she like tries to bat your hand away, but there's no hand there to do anything, so it just kind of goes through you. Um, do you want to continue? What does Eliseo do in this moment?
Yeah, I think he'll look hurt and surprised when she tries to bat his hand away, but then I think he'll go back to trying to touch her and comfort her.
I think this might honestly be a risk roll here.
I love it. I like making rolls. Let's do it.
Um,
I totally think Vero is dissuading him from this course of action. He thinks like, "What are you doing? Like, stop."
I love it.
Alicia just absolutely ignores Vero. So if you want to try to stop Alicia, it's going to require more than that, I think.
Yeah. No, I don't think Vero's that committed.
Not that committed to the bit. Yeah. Okay.
So what exactly are you trying to achieve in this moment?
Yeah. So I think Alicio, I think if Alicio were to get what he wanted, he would stop her pain.
Okay. I like that. And the rest of us, what could go wrong here? The thing that I think could go wrong is that you end up. No, I don't. I don't necessarily want to do that. I will say that you you somehow take you somehow take that pain onto yourself, and so you are somehow incapacitated through doing this. Like it bleeds into you almost.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same, and maybe it's ruin or something like that.
Risay or Vero, do you guys have any ideas?
Yeah, I think mine is really just like a reflavor. I was thinking it was that she is rejecting the offer, and that's what sort of redirects the pain. Like I said, I think it's just recasting kind of what everybody's putting out there.
I think having her like run away is a different option, or like that kind of rejection. I think that would work.
Or maybe it's a ploy, right? Maybe it's like a tactic of sympathy or something like that, a trap.
She turns and attacks.
Yeah, I just thought of a separate one. Maybe, and I think this fits well with what Jan just said. Maybe Alicio becomes trapped in the statue somehow.
Ooh.
Like they swap places.
Oh, that's fun.
Can I offer a terrible one?
If you want to, go for it.
Myself, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Maybe her rejection makes Alicio do something against his nature.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Make friends with Vero.
No, not that bad. That's beyond the pale. I think I have a moral obligation to reject that offer.
I love it. And is there a skill or a piece of equipment that you're using here to help you?
That's a great question. Sorry, I was just looking at the lines and veils. Let me get back to this. I mean, I think maybe it's fair that since you evoked his transformation as sort of like the conduit of empathy, that maybe that's a worthwhile thing to use here.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable if you're going to kind of go from that direction. And then Devil's Bargains. The Devil's Bargain that I'm going to offer is that she looks almost exactly like the love you left behind. It's very clear that they're not the same person, but the resemblance is uncanny.
I'd like to offer maybe a step further in that you become infatuated with her.
I was totally going there. Yeah, I think that would be fantastic.
I'm going to offer you a step further, and that is you become infatuated with her, and at the same time know that your true love is not her.
Ouch.
I'm gonna abstain
Definitely
from
no.
taking things any further.
you were gonna ratchet that up a little further. Oh, yeah.
How far do you want to go?
If you're sure, I'll take it. I'll take it all the way. Let's do it and drive this character like a stolen car.
All right. And then are you risking your mind or body off the bat, or do you want to avoid the dark dice?
Let's just roll and see what happens. I can always re-roll, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just do that.
Okay.
So what is the what could go wrong? What did we decide on?
I think the thing that can go wrong here, since you are, since you have picked the become infatuated with this person, I do really like the idea that they run away, and just to counter that.
Cool. All right. So what is that? Two light dice? Is that
Two
what we're
light
starting?
dice. Yep.
All right. Here we go.
That is 5. So
That is a 5.
The complication in this scenario, I think the complication is going to be a kind of a lesser version of one of the downsides that other people said, was that you can help her overcome this pain by taking a little bit of the pain into yourself. And so like one of your hands is like half incorporeal and phasing in and out. And it's going to be painful, but it won't last that long.
Okay.
So you can take that, or you can try and re-roll.
No, I think that sounds fantastic. So
Right.
I'm sorry. It's been a little while. So a 5 means that I do get what I want, but there is a complication.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So you can add a condition that is incorporeal hand.
Okay. I will do that. That sounds like fun.
And that will stick around until you clear that condition.
Until when? I'm sorry.
Until you clear that condition. So the way that conditions work is they last until you go back to town and spend a gold to clear them.
Oh wow. Okay.
But it is not a permanent thing, and it's not a ruin increase. So yeah, describe what this looks like as this magic kind of bleeds into you and mixes with your own transformed magic.
Sure. So I think what happens is, I think Alicio gets down on his hands and knees, and he's sort of like desperately trying to comfort this woman, and as he sort of like absorbs her attempts to push him away, he does finally like manage to sort of stroke her cheek, and this terrible pain, just like it you can almost see it, the way that it travels between the two of them, travels from her to him, and he starts to just like, his body begins to randomly change, like various parts of it, like patches of hair come out from a shoulder, and like spikes protrude from his spine and then retract, and one leg becomes long and then short, and his teeth grow and shrink, and like things like that. Like his body is clearly not his own, and they both scream together in sort of like this weird harmony, and that is the moment that he realizes that he's in love with her, when they share this terrible pain, right? And you can see him, through sort of a force of will, push this pain back out of him, and as he does, he pushes some of his corporality into her, making her firmer, but making him lose pieces of himself, like his hand, for example. So he basically shares his corpus, his body, with her.
I love that. And so the two of you continue to kind of recover on the ground. Vero is standing over you. Rasei and Parda are kind of opposite Vero from this scene that is that is happening. Would either of you like to engage, like intervene at this point? You see both this woman and Eliseo screaming in pain. The other thing that happens as you guys are watching this scene and Vero is like standing over them with this scroll, the statue that she came out of starts to crack. And there's this echoing rumble as a crack starts at its head and just starts making its way down through the center of this statue. And you can see it almost like crumbling to pieces in front of you.
Well, if in their sort of touching moment, if they were still kind of together, I think that Rosé would actually kind of rush to break that bond, even as things were flickering. So that might move him over to Eliseo and the woman in the figure.
Yeah, why don't you describe this as you like push past Vero and
Yeah, Vero is, you know, in his moment, and I hear the screams and can see what is happening and the changes that are happening to Eliseo, and that force of will that he described, where he's pushing that materiality into her, and he's taking on some of that incorporeality. And I think that Rosé lunges forward to just break them apart in some ways, out of that sense of right and wrong that he still possesses, but also in other ways out of some fear of what's happening too.
I love that. Do you think this is a risk roll or a hunt roll? Are you trying to figure something out about the world? Or are you trying to stop something terrible from happening?
I'm trying to stop something terrible from happening.
Okay. I like that. So what exactly are you trying to achieve here?
I'm trying to break that contact because I am concerned for what's happening to Eliseo, and that's sort of that sense of duty. Despite what other people may have to say about Eliseo, he is my surgeon. I'm worried about this incorporeal hand, but I mean, he has done nothing but right by me. So I that's what I'm trying to do, is just break that bond, because what I see happening is something terrible.
Okay. And things that could go wrong here. You could, I've got one. Your momentum carries you past them, and you slam into the wall where there are all these chairs, and a pair of manacles leap out of the walls and grab onto your wrists. Does anybody else have failures that they want to offer?
Yeah, I mean, this might take away some of Eliseo's I'm sorry, I've been doing so much school, I'm like brain dead. His agency, that's the word I'm looking for. But I was thinking that it feels like it would make sense to me that there would be a kind of paranoia or because he's suddenly infatuated with this person, right? And so I could see him thinking that, like, here comes somebody to steal her away, or something along those lines.
I'm totally down with that if that's what we want to do, for sure.
That is pretty good. I like that you're constantly shifting in and out of this kind of beast state. Do you want to offer anything else, Daniel or Jan?
Oh, I'm good with Jan's suggestion, for sure.
John, do you have anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna. Oh, sorry. I thought you said Jan. Never mind. It's too confusing.
No worries. I was going to offer that the breaking statue is perhaps a precursor to the floor splitting open or the roof caving in, or some bigger event that's occurring.
Yeah, I have a feeling we might all be facing that anyways. Possibly, I don't know.
I will say, I think all of these would also work as devil's bargains. If
Yeah, I like the failure condition of Alicio, kind of becoming paranoid. But I also, that's a pretty good devil's bargain too.
if you want to take that as a devil's bargain and just have that happen, that's perfectly fine.
Sure, sure. And then that would put us at maybe for some failure. Can't remember the one that's not the manacles. The
The building falling down?
yeah, just some minor, structural damage
Structural
that's gonna
damage.
put some urgency into the situation. I'm
Okay.
cool with all that.
Sam, sorry to interrupt. Could you just catch me up, like, where, like, in terms of the adventure, in terms of like where we are and like the arc of like the journey? Am I
Yes.
like, am I in the position now where I'm like, like if Vero's gonna play his magic card, this is the moment, or am I like, this is like we're just scratching the surface?
So you know that the forge itself is below the castle somewhere. The current set goal is to discover the secrets of the creator and his castle. And so you guys have seen that in the back of this room, there is like a small library type deal behind the throne. There's also a set of stairs that go higher into the castle if you want to continue that way. If you head backwards out the way you came, that is kind of the way down to the lower levels and the lower depths of the castle. So that's where we're at.
Keeping those goals in mind, actually, or having them refreshed for me. If we want to keep the structural integrity of the room for a little while longer, I'm happy to take the manacles.
Okay. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so you've got your devil's bargain. Is there an item or a skill that you want to use? You are muted.
Just looking quickly, I mean, it would be a stretch, and the only thing I've got would be some kind of body positioning stuff from dueling. I don't think there's really an item like that. It's not like I'm pulling an item out.
If you want to explain how you're using your sword to do this,
Oh, I was actually thinking more footwork. It's not just dueling is not just the sword, but it is also about the footwork and the position of the hips and all of that other stuff. So that's kind of where I was.
okay. For that description,
He just
I
dueled
love
you
that.
verbally.
That's great. Yeah. So yeah, let's roll two light dice.
Okay.
That is 2 twos. So that is a failure.
Indeed.
Unless you want to add a dark dice, risk your mind or body in this situation, and roll again.
Yeah, why not? Right. So that's roll again and throw a dark die in there.
Yes. So you roll both light die again, and you add a dark die.
All right.
Okay,
Oh.
that is a 6 on the dark. So that means you succeed completely, but you take 1 ruin because
Awesome.
that six is higher than your current ruin score.
Excellent.
And so describe what that looks like. As I don't think that I don't think that you get locked up by these manacles, but maybe this like crash into the far wall where you somehow get injured. What does that look like?
Yeah, so I actually kind of blow by and through Eliseo in the figure, and it's that kind of force that I put into the movement that causes me to crash in, and the manacles, I'm not entirely caught up in them, but somehow they're, I mean, maybe they do get attached, and but I can, for some ruin or something, you know what I mean, like cause some disfigurement or dysfunction, something like that, in order to struggle through. It's a little bit of a tumble as a scene, I think.
Yeah, I think what actually happens is like you go almost head first into the wall here, and one of them manages to, like, one of these manacles start reaching out, and one of them gets itself around your throat, and but you're there kind of coughing and hacking, but you manage to get up and grab it and pull it away before it does too much damage, but it still hurts. And now you've got, like, you're looking back and there's all these shackles and manacles like pulling them, like straining out of the wall trying to get at you, but you kind of back away from them.
Backing away, and I'm trying to speak to my companions, but my throat is a little bit crushed, so it's hard for me to even call out.
Yeah. Arda, your friend has just dived to the rescue of this person that is transforming back and forth between a beast and a man, and is now all partially ghost. What is Arda up to?
I think Parda picks herself up somewhat slowly from the ground, brushing off the dirt from her jeans. And I'll go over and offer a hand to Rasai and pull him back up and say, "No good deed goes unpunished, eh?"
Indeed. Thank you.
And then head to Vero and look at Eliseo and this woman and say, "Well, who is she? You pulled her from somewhere?"
And as
Yeah.
you say that, the last bit of the statue comes crashing down, and the head is just lying there on its side. Big dent in this huge wooden dais that now has broken boards and splinters.
Yeah, and Vero is like, he's been sort of, so let me understand this correctly, Sam. I'm not no longer channeling any magic from the scroll, right? This is like, it's spent.
I think the scroll is like doing the, like, sparking, and the runes that were on the scroll have faded and are now like kind of coughing up little lingering bits of smoke, but you can see that the scroll itself is spent.
Right. Um, so I think you see like Vero's eyes sort of darting like side to side. He's like clearly like doing some mental calculations. Unbeknownst to you, he's basically deciding what the hell is going on. And he's happy to let everyone else figure it out so that he doesn't get his arm bit off or whatever the hell is going to happen. So I think he's going to, yeah, I think he's just going to like just act like confused or like affected by the magic, like he's gonna yeah, just be like, oh, or like, oh, or something, like essentially.
And I'll look between you and Eliseo, and then I'll yell at Eliseo, "Eliseo, bark if you're in control. Are you still there? Have we? Oh God, have I lost all of them?"
I think Eliseo is like curled up around his hand right now on the ground, but stops when you say that to give you the worst kind of glare.
And I think the woman has stopped screaming as well and is now, she is also curled up, I think, but is now just like sobbing. Um, her hair is an absolute mess of this halo that goes around her head. The dress that she is wearing is very clearly a wedding dress. And it is like like ripped and torn in different places. Some of it clearly from the skid across the room, but some of it looks older than that.
I think Pharaoh at this point sort of like recollects himself, busts out his hunter's knife, and then sort of starts walking in such a way as to position as many people between himself and her. And then he's going to yeah, like point his dagger at her and say something along like, "I've summoned you, demon woman. Speak, lead us to where we want to go." And you know, like he's very authoritative with this, you know, with this ghost.
I think you're trying to find something out about the world,
I would say
right?
so, yeah.
So I think this is a hunt roll.
All right, fair enough.
So do you have a skill or a piece of equipment that you're using, or are you just rolling straight here?
Well, I mean, I don't like okay, so I mean, I don't know if the knife matters. I don't know if she's like threatened by it or not. I don't know if that's important. Um and I do have myths, which I feel like might matter for this role, but I'm not sure.
Sure. Okay. I maybe like I like that kind of combination of those two things. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and roll two light dice?
And I'm just looking because I forgot about the whole backpack thing. So I'm just want to see if there's anything that perhaps I could sort of retcon and say that I pulled out of my backpack as well. But it doesn't look like anything is. You know what? Actually, this might be. No, I'll save it. I'll save it. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let's do it. Yep. Two light dice. You said.
Two light dice.
Okay. Build a roll. Oh, do I need to create custom dice? Sorry, it's been a
They
while here.
should be there.
Let's see.
Yeah, do you see a light and a dark option under custom dice?
Let's see here. I don't see anything. I just see custom dice and then final touches, and it's asking me to create a custom die.
Yeah,
In that case, you can just roll 2d6 and it's fine.
Oh, I suppose that's true. They're both light anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's see if Vero has his luck streak going still. Nope.
There's a 1 and a 2.
No, that's it. That was it. That's the end. So far, he's like he's like avoided every single consequence up until this point.
And this woman continues sobbing, and she pulls herself up and like shakily gets to her feet and looks up at you, and her eyes are empty pools of light that are
Yeah,
shining out behind the lids. And as she cries, the light actually drips down her face and onto the floor, where it kind of hisses and sputters on the ground.
and Vero's like shaking and holding the knife and taking like short steps back as he's sort of witnessing this.
And that is where we're going to take our first break. So,
Wonderful.
is 5 minutes work for you guys? Cool. We will be back at 7 past the hour. See you in a bit. All right, we are back. And I think that we are going to start with, let's start with Elisio, because you are now staring up at this woman that is standing over you. And you can see the like I think the scene maybe is you're opening your eyes and you see the light drip onto the floor in front of your face, where it almost like sparks and sizzles on the ground. And you look up at her as she's slowly raising a shaking hand to point at Vero.
Yeah, that's probably not going to go well for Vero. Yeah, so I think that obviously this beautiful apparition in front of Alicia would never do anything to harm someone, right? She's far too pure for that. So Alicio is going to, to kind of get to his feet, and he's gonna hiss at Vero, since Vero is pointing a knife at this glorious creature. And I don't think that he has any clue that anything bad is going to possibly happen. So I think that probably he's just going to try to like continue to comfort this woman. I think he's going to, take off his grotesquely like viscera covered wolf pelt, and is going to try to put it around her shoulders or whatnot. But like while he's doing that, I think that he is going to just sort of inadvertently get between Vero and this woman.
Yeah. I don't, yeah. And so I think she is like staring over your shoulder, staring daggers at Vero as she points at him and just says, You. Why did you take me out? Why? Why? And she is still sobbing now, almost into Elisio's shoulder as he's trying to like put this thing around you, around her.
So like I just want to understand this. Alicia, are you like threatening me, or?
In like only if Vero were to consider like him like glaring and hissing at Vero threatening. Like it's not overtly threatening, just
Is it clear to us
expressing anger.
all that like you've mentally changed at all, or is it sort of ambiguous?
I feel like there's probably nothing ambiguous about Alicio ever in the world. So like, he wears his heart and every other heart on his sleeve. So probably you can see exactly what's going on in his little animal brain.
Gotcha. So yeah, so in that case, I'll be like, he's gone mad, man. Like draw your weapons, stand back.
Oh, Parda is drawing her dagger and is just like, the beast has been corrupted by the demon.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, no.
Alicio, step aside if you have any form of control still.
Trophy PvP, here we go.
Yeah. I read, or I was listening to some podcast where I think Jason was lamenting the fact that there are no PvP rules. Yeah, so Alicio is definitely not going to do that. So he'll turn to Parda, and he will definitely snarl and show now animal-like teeth, and raise one good clawed hand, but is not moving away from the woman.
Okay. I'm going to burst your bubble a little bit and say there is a PvP role now.
Oh.
It is called the contest.
Ah.
Is this a contest? Is this going to actually go to like to blows here?
So I think as Eliseo turns, and kind of raises a claw to Parda, Parda is like, kind of side shuffling back to Vero and saying, can you cast her away? You brought her in. Can you cast her away? And I will distract the beast.
And are you saying this under your breath, or is this something everyone can hear?
I probably everyone can hear it. Yeah, I don't think I'm being particularly secretive or anything about it.
Yeah, yeah. Like the idea of saying like, yes, I can, or whatever, like, so everyone can hear, is like, that's too like direct for Vero, because he's gonna feel like, well, if I say that, then this woman's gonna kill me or something, right? He's like scared, right? So I think he just gives you like a little quick little like, no, can't do it, and hope that no one else can see, and then like, puffs up his chest, like, and like just shakes his dagger in front of him, and tries to make him look like, tough.
Yeah. And Rasai, which side are you taking here?
I think, to be honest, that Rose is hoping that it does not come to blows between Parda and Eliseo, and will intervene to prevent, any kind of like death of one or the other, I think. But I think that on some level, too, it may be that it's one of these times where these two just need to let off some steam. It's like when you've got family and sometimes they just have to punch each other a little bit, in Rase's world, not in mine. That sort of thing may need to happen.
And Vero is looking for an opportunity for this like woman to be distracted or like left alone or helpless in some, and he's got a jack up his sleeve for that if that situation happens.
All right. So I think everybody here has very different goals for what they want to do, which is perfect. So each of you are going to be kind of your own team in this little scuffle that is going to happen here. And so let's go in character keeper order. Everybody can take one light die if the contest is something that you are skilled in because of your occupation or your background. You only get one die even if multiple skills apply. So Vero, you have a occupation or background skill that you want to use.
No, I don't think it applies in this case. I'm deliberately sort of left out my secretive approach, but it won't apply. Yeah.
That's fine. Rasay, do you have
Oh, by the way, excuse me, sorry to interrupt. If I have an item, does that count or no?
Nope.
Okay.
Just skills.
I don't want to lean too much on the dueling for every physical altercation, so I'm going to say, well, based on that gesture, I'm going to say, yeah, dueling.
Why not? It's character flavor. It totally tracks. Elizio, what are you using a skill?
So I don't know that I'm perfectly clear on what Eliseo wants out of this contest.
It sounds like protecting this person.
Yeah, except that, well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, like that would be obvious. I guess I'm just not sure. Like, it sounds like Parda is more interested in beating the snot out of Eliseo than in attacking attacking the woman. Is that right, John?
So Parda is going to attempt to lure you away from her.
Okay.
And it's less about wanting to beat the snot out of you. I feel like you've been corrupted. And so
Okay.
I'm hoping getting you, separating the two of you, maybe like brings some clarity. So that is Parda's initiative.
And Vero has explicitly said that he wants to get this woman by herself to deal with her. So
okay, then yes. So right. So I think Eliseo's goal basically is to not allow those things to happen, right? To continue protecting this woman or to not be distracted or something like that.
okay.
In those cases, I don't know that I have a skill that I would necessarily say would fit.
Do you
So
have
I'm fine. Just
security might make sense as you're protecting somebody. Unless you want to word that some other way.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. And then Parda, do you have any skills that you want to use?
I do not have any skills.
Okay. And then everybody takes 1 light die for each point of ruin that you currently have.
Ooh.
You take 1 dark die if the contest is something that that is inherently deadly or dangerous. So anybody that is actively engaging in like fighting or thinks that their role in this scuffle is dangerous will take 1 dark die.
Okay, so I think I might have to reveal what I'm doing here, or maybe, yeah, I guess I will. Whatever. So Vero is basically looking for an opportunity. Unbeknownst to everybody else, he has a fishing net in his backpack, and he's looking for an opportunity to, like, number one priority is Vero does not want to get hurt, right? So if she looks like she's ready to pounce or like, strike back or something, but as long as she's on the ground or helpless or like distracted or something, he wants to toss this fishing net on her and sort of like trap her.
Okay.
That's his goal. And so I don't know anything about this woman, so I'm not sure how dangerous that is.
As dangerous as you think it is, because the next one is you can take as many dark die as you are willing to risk.
Ooh.
And so the way that this contest, so that you guys are aware of what's going on, you roll all of your dice at once. Whoever gets the most 6s wins. But if any of your dark dice come up 1, for each 1 you get, your ruin goes up by 1.
Ooh. Okay.
So you can take 20 dark die if you really want it, but for every 1 you get, your ruin is going up by 1.
And this is our last session, is that right? Just trying to do the math here.
We'll
why are you asking that question?
I was planning on sending out a scheduler to see if we could schedule 1 more session of this, but
Okay, yeah. I
if
just want to make sure Vero
if you want this to be Vero's shining moment,
explosive
then
finale,
explosive finish, then we can make that happen. But does anybody have any questions before we roll some dice?
So just so to talk it back to you, it is 1 die if you have a skill, 1 die per ruin. Those are all light dice, and then you can add a number of dark dice.
And I think 1 die for danger, is that what you said?
It is 1 light die for skills.
Okay.
1 die for each ruin.
Okay.
And those are light die. You get 1 dark die if it's a dangerous thing that you have to take, and then as many other dark die as you're willing to risk.
Gotcha. So if it's not dangerous, you're not actually risking ruin at all unless you really push yourself.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And are we like rolling all at once so that we don't get the unfair advantage of seeing how much other people roll? Just like three,
yeah.
three,
So
two,
why
one?
doesn't everybody lock in how many dice they're doing, and then we'll roll.
I'm locked
Okay.
in.
Let's see. All right, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Okay.
Cool. I'm all set.
All right. I think that's everybody. So go ahead and roll dice. So
we're looking for 6s, is that right? So if you hover over your roll on the right side, it'll show you the results of each individual die.
Okay.
I think
awesome.
mine is screwed up because they are all showing up as the same thing.
Ooh,
Oh,
interesting.
yeah.
Or maybe we all rolled the same thing.
I don't think that all of you would have rolled exactly the same number of 1s, 5s, and 6s. 'Cause I think
Yeah.
was
Also, it
one-
says that there were a couple of just like random d6s rolled, and I don't think that's right. I think we all rolled light or dark dice.
John.
Oh no, I actually did
Hey, this is-
roll
is wh-
accidentally.
This is why there's a new
Oh, okay.
version.
But my
I'm
light
kidding.
and dark dice did come out 6s anyhow.
I think everyone
Interesting.
did the same thing. So why don't we do that again? And we'll
Okay.
we'll roll one at a time.
I might recommend that we just refresh, like everyone close the room and then open it up again. Like
Okay.
if stuff gets in a weird state, there's no way back. And so just closing it and then coming back in will clear it out.
Okay.
Okay. I'm closed.
As
I'm
am I.
closed.
Yep.
Okay, so should be good to open up
Okay.
again now.
Everyone's out.
I
Okay.
will make the custom die for everybody. Is everybody in the room?
Yes.
Cool.
Mhm.
Cool. That should work.
All right.
So go ahead and fill in the same thing, and then we'll roll one at a time this time.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do mine because I've got mine ready.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's Pardas.
Okay.
I can do Alicia next.
I'll go. Uh,
Okay. And then let's say
Oh crap. Oh,
Okay.
God damn it. I kind of screwed up. Which is, it's fine, I guess. Oh no, we can just do it backwards. So I mistook. I think it was the other way around last time. I thought it was light die and then dark dice, and I did dark dice and then light dice. I wanted to do 4 light dice because I had 4. I had three ruin and 1 skill, and I want to do 3 dark dice on top of that.
yeah, so you can just
Okay.
reverse them.
so. It looks like nobody rolled. If Eliseo is actually flipping your dark and light die because of mess ups, nobody rolled 1s on their dark die, which is fantastic because nobody takes any ruin. Rasei and Eliseo are tied with 1 6 apiece, and Parda and Vero, neither of you rolled any 6s. So I don't think Rasei and Eliseo are necessarily opposed here. So I don't think we need to like go to a second tier. But why don't the 2 of you describe what this looks like as you fend off whatever Parda and Vero are trying to do.
Yeah, I think in many ways too, Rasei would, I mean, I'm going to defer to Eliseo in the sense that Rasei's goal is to only prevent a mortality, a death or real harm, between Eliseo and Parda. So in many ways, I was sort of always imagining that goal as being somewhat held back in a wait and see kind of a way.
Okay. So Alicia is mostly reactive here. So I guess let's hear what Parda and Vero are doing, are attempting to do, and then we can kind of decide how Alicia puts a.
Vero
How
is
you foil
also
them. Yeah.
Vero is also trying to prevent mortality and death his own. And so unless there's any if the situation doesn't make it easy for Vero to do this, Vero is not even going to take a step towards doing it. So from Vero doesn't look like he's doing anything.
I think this might be, so I like that maybe this is a Parda instigated moment. So Parda, why don't you describe what's going on, and then Rasei can kind of step in and stop whatever that is, while Vero is kind of going off around the side, and then we'll have Vero and Elio kind of face off in some fashion.
Yeah, I think Parda probably comes forward. and comes at you, Alicio, with her dagger out, and like makes some like precursor kind of swipes to just be like, move, like get out of the way. And then when you don't relent, she'll take a quick sharp step, kind of like a quick feint at you, and then try to retreat, and maybe that's when you take over.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. So all this is happening, and I think that Parta just discovers that Alicio is like stupid fast, and is sort of able to like for all of his weird fumblings and stuff that he did before, is like able to stay in like a really good lockstep with you. And is just so determined not to move out from between the two of you that it's almost like you're all dancing, right? Like, you do a couple of feints and Alicio moves to compensate, and then you sort of like back up, and Parta sort of like, why do I keep calling myself Parta? Alicio kind of like steps forward, right? So like there's always sort of like this constant distance, and this sort of like knife is flashing between you, but never actually landing, partially because you're not actually trying to get it to land, and partially because Alicio is sort of like moving out of the way. And I think like maybe when it ends, maybe both Alicio and Parta just sort of like take one step back, like the dance is done, and then they're just standing there staring at each other.
I'm thinking, what if Rasay interjects himself, and that's what ends
Ooh,
this?
okay, sure, yeah, totally. I take that part back.
Thinking sort of along the same lines, like, you guys are locked in that dance, and that's, kind of just a moment where I step forward and, put the, like, after that last final quick feint on Parta's behalf, and that sort of like, and I'm besting you move from Alicio, that like, that's when kind of the sort of arm of Rasay kind of comes in the middle a little bit, and is just like, friends, we have greater things to do than fight amongst ourselves, kind of thing.
And all three of you look to the side and see Vero there with their net. What is it? What did they catch you in the middle of?
I mean, I think like, so Vero is like, I've been super circumspect about this, right? Like, I do not want to, like, the whole thing is that Vero doesn't want to give away his plan at all, right? So I think he's probably got like his backpack slung off one of his shoulders, and maybe it's like a hand reaching into it. But I think that's maybe as far as he's gotten. So like maybe you could see like, yeah, he's caught red-handed, but you don't know with what or with what intention.
I think that's good. And we've kind of talked ourselves into a little bit of a stalemate here. And that is the moment where, Elyzio, you feel a hand on your back. And the woman kind of hand on your shoulder, like pushes you ever so slightly just out of the way as she walks forward towards Parta. Her eyes still, she is no longer sobbing, but the light is still kind of pouring out of her eyes.
Yeah, I mean, Alicia will just move.
And she walks up to Parta. And how tall is Parta?
Am I behind her at this point, or like, I just want to understand the positioning here.
So she is at this point kind of in the middle of the four of you. She has Rathay, Elyzio, and Parta were all kind of in line, and Rathay has backed off, and now the woman is standing between Elyzio and Parta, and you are off to the side of the. So it's almost a square at this point, and she's in the middle of the square.
Okay.
I think Parta is about 5'7".
Okay, so this woman is about 4 or 5 inches shorter than you. She's fairly short, and she's also not wearing any shoes. and you can see the last vestiges of this corporeality like fill out her face, and she has two mismatched eyes. One of them you clearly recognize is Elysio's, and she like her face looks weird and stretched because one of her eye sockets is too big for her face as she walks forward and kind of looks up at you. And he reaches out to grab the dagger that you're holding.
And I think Parda is just off guard at this point, and has a bit of a tremble in her breath, and I'm not gonna fight it. I think, you know, I almost offer the dagger as I see her reaching to that hand.
And she takes it and your hand with it and puts it on her sternum.
And I look to Elysio.
So I think that Elysio understands deep down that this woman does not want to live in the pain that she is in. And I think that he understands what she is asking of Parda. And I think that he will like look between her and Parda with like tears in his eyes, and he'll sort of step up to Parda, and assuming Parda allows it, will just sort of like gently touch Parda's shoulder, and then will walk out of the room.
And I'm gonna drive that dagger forward.
Make a hunt roll for me.
Wait, I feel like Vero. Oh God, what
So
is?
I know we have a line on suicide, so I'm
Yeah, we
aware of
definitely
this,
do. It's a Vela,
which is
actually, I
why I'm
think.
asking for a hunt roll here.
Let's see. I don't think I have. I certainly don't have any skills.
You're using this knife.
Yeah, I wasn't. Okay, yeah,
Is that
that
a
piece of equipment.
that is a piece of equipment?
I'm
I think it is. It's not under the backpack section, but it's under combat.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that counts.
2 and a 4.
Okay, that's a success, but you get a hunt token, but you encountered something terrible. As you break the skin on her chest, it splits, and that same light comes pouring out of the wound, and she just pushes the blade all the way in and then pulls it out, and the wound just seals itself up, and she puts her hand on your chest and just, with almost no effort, sends you skittering back like 15 feet. And then she turns to Vero.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been a moment that Vero would have done the fishing net, like when she's like distracted and her back is turned. He's
Do
had
you
his
want
like
to? Do you want to make this a combat? Are you?
I mean,
you-
if I feel like, yeah, I mean, like I've been sort of looking for my opportunity to do this, right? So like, if she's gonna stab this thing in her chest and then engage in with Parda, I feel like that is enough distraction going on that yeah, Vero would have because like he summoned this person to like get information. Well, like that's what he thinks at least. So he wants to like tie this person up and like get what he can out of them, or like tie this person up and then get someone else to get what they what.
I like that. So this might be, unless Parda wants to jump in, I think this might be Vero on their own in combat beginning here.
Like I feel like part of because we're on opposite sides of this person, right? So like
Mhm.
I feel like it's possible that like we make eyes or something, or you see me like reaching into my backpack and you kind of get the sense of what's something that's going on. Like I feel like since we're opposing each other, we're in a good position to, if we wanted to, kind of team up on this. But I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah.
So are we? This is prior to the shove. It sounds like.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I think that can make sense. Like
Okay.
like she has reached out and is like put her hand on your chest at this point, and Vera was about to like throw this net over her.
Then yeah,
All right. So
yeah, we make eyes.
Rethe, do you want to join in? Or are you gonna sit out and see what happens?
I kind of don't think that I'm picking up on what Vero is putting down, to be
Okay.
honest.
Yeah. And
I'm
to be
good with
clear,
that.
part of why Vero is doing this is because up to this point, he thinks this is a helpless woman.
So why don't each of you describe how you are leaving yourselves vulnerable?
I mean, I think I just did, right? I think this person is a
Yeah, I
helpless
think that
woman.
tracks.
Yeah.
And maybe I know John, you just took a bite, but the knife is still in her chest, so you don't have a weapon right now, or
Right.
a melee weapon.
Yeah, and I'm at engaged range. We're
Yeah.
right beside each other. So
Okay. So all right, why don't you each roll a light die to represent your weak point.
So just one light die?
Just one light die. Yep. 2 and a 3. Okay. And then since Vero is the one who's kind of instigating here, why don't you roll 2 dark die? That was a 6. And there's a 2. So I think this is the shove, as he like almost crushes the what armor are you wearing? You were wearing chainmail, and I think that she actually like crushes the links on your chest. She pushes you that hard, and you go flying. Um, and why don't the two of you kind of narrate what this looks like as you kind of lock up in almost a stalemate? Vera, you do manage to like throw the net over, but why doesn't it stop her?
I mean, the first thing I'm thinking of is that it's just like floating above her, or like, just like hovering around her, but not like actually engaging her for whatever reason, magical
Yeah.
reason.
Yes, that is so good. I love that. And maybe it's like she puts her hand up and it just stays there and doesn't descend the last couple of inches as she turns to look directly at you.
Vero runs. He just fucking runs for the door.
So, Rasay, do you want to step in here? Do you want to do anything? Is Parda staying in this combat?
if Vero's running and Rasai is also not, stepping in or helping, then No, I think I've got to cut and run myself. I'm now convinced we're fighting like an angel or something, and this is a horrible idea.
Yeah, I mean, I've been captivated by this figure with light and tears of acid. You know, I feel as though it's there's something almost otherworldly about it. And if Parta at all is making you know, Vero gone, and if Parta at all makes any kind of move to fight, I know that Rose would jump in. But if there's any even a hesitation or a shift where Parta's also going to leave, because Alicia has already left the room too,
Mhm.
we should just go.
I think I like that better because presumably I don't even have a dagger anymore.
It's still in her
So
chest.
yeah, so Parta doesn't even have a weapon. I feel I'm gonna take it off my sheet because I don't think Parta's getting that back. So
Okay. So if Parda and Rasai are running away, she will not pursue you guys. Which way are you guys going? Because you guys can go back into the kind of the main room. You guys can also go kind of back into the back of the room, and there is that staircase that goes up.
which way did the others go? Which way did Delicio and Vero go?
Yeah, I mean, I like I definitely would have followed like Vero's not going anywhere alone. He needs someone to be his human shield.
Oh man. So I feel like Alicia probably would have gone backwards.
Okay. So are all four of you going backwards then?
I think so.
Okay. So I'm going to make Vero roll the risk roll here, because she is chasing you specifically.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so guide me through this, Sam.
So first off, the thing you want to achieve, I assume, is getting out of here, getting away from her.
Yeah, and like if I could trip anyone else along the way, or like drop marbles behind me, or because I've got marbles, right? So like anything to slow this person down, or like cause someone else to like, you know, become the meat for the dog, so to speak. Yeah.
Okay. Um, things that can go wrong here. The thing that I'm going to offer that could go wrong, you are in a blind panic running out of this room, and so you burst through the doors and go toppling off of the banister that is just outside of these doors and down to the cracked floor below. Does anybody else want to offer things that can go wrong here?
I mean, if he's going to deploy the marbles, I want to see him slip on his own marbles. If you know, if he's going to, in terms of going wrong, that would allow Rose and Parta to, of course, pass him.
I was gonna
It's
say, go ahead, Daniel.
oh, I was gonna say it's possible that Alicia may have barred the door. That's a thing that could maybe go wrong.
That could definitely go wrong. Okay. I like that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe she uses magic to block the door or something like that. So
Something like that.
same
That's good.
idea.
Okay, so it sounds like I like the marbles, so that gets you the first light die on this. The devil's bargain. The devil's bargain that I'm going to offer here is that you will never get away from her. She will always follow you. Even if you leave this castle, she will always be following you.
To anybody else?
Nah, I think I'm good.
Anybody else? Nope. All right, that's the one devil's bargain you got.
That's some bullshit.
You don't have to take it. You can say no, but you also don't get that dice.
Right. Can I offer my own devil's
Nope.
bargain?
Nope.
Let's see here. Okay, haunt me forever, huh? That's so
I
unfair.
will say haunt
ooh,
you
actually,
until you die.
okay, wait,
Could be in
though.
this room.
I want to make it clear here. Haunt, like the person of Vero. Is that what you're saying? I want to be very clear what exactly is being haunted.
I see where you're going. I think that would be its own thing that we will resolve when we get there.
Right. Okay.
For now, it will be the corporeal form of Vero.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. Cool. So that means I get 2 light dice. Is that right?
It is 2 light dice, and you are definitely taking a dark die here.
All right.
This is dangerous.
All right. Let's see how this goes. And the hunt cards don't apply here, right?
Nope,
Okay.
that is not part of this rule.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time remembering all the rules.
Yep, no, that's fine.
Yep. Here we go.
Okay, that is a 5 on the light.
Sam,
So-
is this still part of the combat? So
Nope,
is
combat is over.
Okay, gotcha.
Combat is over. This is the I'm running away, and so we're risk rolling to get out of combat. If Parta had stayed in, you would have taken both of the two the 2 weak points. But since everybody ran, we are here. The complication that I'm going to say is that you burst through the door, and you are going to make a lot of noise. And if you remember, the room that you are bursting into has a bunch of cocoon centipedes. And those cocoons are going to start moving. So you can choose to add another dark die and re-roll.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. What the hell? Why not?
Okay. So that's 2 dark die and 2 light die, and you roll all 4 of them again. That is a 6 on the dark. So on a 6, the complication doesn't happen, but since it is on the dark die, your ruin goes up by 1. And describe what this looks like
Right.
as, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like Vero had his backpack off his shoulder already, right? So he tossed this net. This just floats. So he's just like, and then watches, Parta soar across the room after this like magical thing happens to him. And Vero shits his pants basically and just like just books it. And he like the last thing he wants to be is like, because he's not fast and he knows this about himself. He's an old dude. And so he's gonna try to take every advantage he's got. So he's got all these marbles, right? So he just takes his hand and reaches into his backpack and just starts throwing marbles behind him. And yeah, he just like shoulders through the door, and they like burst open and smack into the door, and these like cocoons like sway ominously, and he's just like looking back and forward, and like he has to sort of decide what the hell, like what's the worst of the two, and decides like Alicia has gone this way, so maybe this is good, the better path, and just like just gets the hell out of there ASAP.
Yeah, what breaks of you when you shoulder check the door?
I think it's just like
This is the you taking ruin.
Yeah. No, I get it. I think what it is just like you start to see like the strain on Vero. I think like, up until this point, it's been sort of like he's managed to like easily get out of things and have other people take the brunt of stuff.
Mhm.
And like this is his first like real scrape with like a real close call, right? As far as Vero is concerned. So he's just like a weakling, right? He's just not built for it. And like you just like suddenly we get like this look of almost like, it would be almost like from a Hitchcock movie. You get like a close up of his eye and then some like twitching or something like that, and that would be about it.
I like that. We start to see the madness creep through. I love it. Yeah, so you like run out, start looking around. Rasay and Parta kind of come out in a few seconds after you. Turn, and we see the two, each one of you grab one of the doors and turn and start to close. And through the crack in the door, we see this woman's like just, she's not even running, she's just walking toward the doors. And then we hear the slam of the doors close, and then bang on the other side. Bang. And silence. And we are on to the next set. I think that is actually a excellent spot to hop to our second break. So another 5-minute break, or does anybody need more time? Nope. Okay, cool. We will be back at 1, maybe 2 after the hour. I'll see you all in a bit. All right, welcome back. So the 4 of you are back on the top of the banner, sorry, the top of the balustrade here, looking out on this large entry hall, where the 4 of you kind of look out over this large cracked mosaic pattern on the floor, that even as you look down on it, you can see the kind of a glow, a light beneath one of these cracks, and another rumble shakes the floor, and that you can swear that you see the crack grow another couple of inches. And you stand looking out over this area. The 4 of you, Eliseo has been standing out here for a bit, but the rest of you are all panting from this moment of forced exertion. As a quick reminder, the set goal for this set is to find the passage to the lower levels. And you guys have 5, so you have 6 hunt tokens right now. So if you wanted to, we could kind of skip through a lot of what's going on here and do that, or you could spend some time exploring this level of the castle. Up to you.
What do you guys think? I think kind of I'm sort of into like delving deeper. I would spend a hunt token.
Yep, I was going to say the same.
Yeah, I'll spend the third one.
Okay, cool. So you guys, why don't you each put one of the tokens on the table here that you're using, and give a little bit of description as you guys make your way through banquet halls and kind of servants' quarters and feast rooms, until you find a trap door in the kitchens that leads down to what looks like a cellar. What are each of you doing as you make your way through this last part of the set? And feel free to use the imagery or ideas of the card to kind of inform what you're doing. We'll toss it over. Let's go in reverse character keep order. So Arda.
I think Parda is really quiet for a lot of this portion after that whole experience, and not really sure what to make of it. But I think maybe something interesting that we come across, that we see along the way. So my card was, I again, I'm sorry, I'm terrible at tarot cards. It was the 10 of sticks,
10 of wands, yes.
wands. Okay,
Or
that makes more
staves or
sense.
wands or whatever you want. That'll work.
So perhaps we find an old study of what maybe was not the creator's room, right? Like this was not anywhere grand enough or big enough to be the creator, but perhaps an apprentice sorcerer of some sort. You can see like there's like a cracked wand that was left behind, and she picks it up and tries to coax a bit of magic from it, trying to remember the spells her witch mother used to cast, but it does no good. So she just throws it against the damp corner and moves on.
Yeah, I think it's a maybe almost decorated like a hunting room. Like there's this big fireplace and this huge writing desk that's like 10 feet long. And it's got these scrolls and wands and stuff. Everything has been looted, and anything that is truly valuable has already been scavenged by the countless other groups of adventurers who come before you. And in the corner, you see that instead of like trophies on the wall, there are cages that have the corpses of hunts and small animals still kind of rotting away in these cages. Next in the character keeper would be Elisio.
Yeah, so I think on the maybe on the way to the kitchen, we pass sort of like a banquet hall with like an overly long table, and there's just two chairs, and at one end of the chair, like at one end of the table in the chair, there is the lower half of a skeleton, which looks like it's sitting there and was just sort of like cut right in half. And strangely, at the other end of the table, in the other chair, is the upper half of presumably the same skeleton. And it looks like just a young man, and his skeletal face is sort of like grimly smiling, and in his upraised skeletal hand, he holds a cup that is stained with wine.
I love that. That is very good. And who's the other one that
It was
Vero
me.
was the other one
Yeah,
that
yeah.
spent a card.
I think my card is actually more in my interpretation. I think it's more like a Vero psychology, right? I think like with the hermit, I think Vero suddenly up until this point he's felt sort of secure and in his colleagues, he's like you've been using them as shields and so or protection, and I think now he feels alone. I think he feels vulnerable, and like this hermit, he's extremely vigilant, right? He's on the lookout everywhere. He's like super paranoid, um, and I feel like this entire time he's just been sort of like I want to say, if it's okay with y'all, that he's sort of been leading people, but almost in like a trance-like state and mumbling and like repeating like verses from old books and myths under his breath. He probably doesn't realize that he's speaking out loud. He's just like in this frantic, like half trance-like state with this paranoid look. And I think from like the like cinematography up until this point in the film or TV show has sort of looked at Vero through this sort of comedic buffoon sort of way of portraying him, and now we're starting to see like the cinematography changes to sort of connote that Vero is moving more away from being a buffoon to being kind of a crazy person. That's
Yeah, I like
yeah.
that. And I think there's definitely one scene where you're going down a hallway and you're leading everybody, and you swear you can hear from a door that's up ahead, like a banging and a muffled cries from behind the door, and you run up with your knife drawn. It's like shaking, pointing at this doorway, and you throw it open, and it's an empty broom closet. There's nothing in there except an old mop and what looks like a bucket that is since rusted through and leaked water all over the floor. And you push your way past and down, and the four of you find yourselves kind of exploring the kitchens, exploring the back side of this room, looking for any hints that might give away what the secrets that lie beneath this castle. And you find this trapdoor that you are able to kind of pry open with not too much effort and a well-placed sword. And you pull it open, and this kind of dank, musty, smelly air kind of bubbles up from below, and you feel the same rumbling and heat from beneath you. You make your way down, and it does lead to a cellar. There are what used to be casks of wine that are now shattered and broken, since the far wall of this cellar has been blown out, and from the other side, where it almost looks like some sort of explosive went off and sent rocks and shards of stone flying everywhere into this room, destroying what little wine there was. And it leads directly into a jail cell. You can see through this hole. You poke your way across the ruined doorway, and you find yourselves in a long jail that has one side, the side that you are on, made up of 4 or 5, it's hard to tell from the fact that you are inside of one, of these black iron cells. Each one is this rusted, kind of almost cast iron look to the bars. They're thick. They're probably an inch thick each, with these huge jail doors that lock from the other side. And across the room, there is almost a chasm cut into the floor, where you can hear moaning and groaning and shuffling, and occasionally a hand will reach itself up out of the edge and start to pull up before being yanked back by a chain that is held by a small winged creature. This creature stands on a hitching post that is set into the top of this crevasse. About a dozen of these chains hang from the side of the hitching post, and he gleefully sits there, and every time one of these hands reaches up and starts to pull itself, he yanks it back and pulls the creature back into the pit and cackles maniacally. And he hasn't noticed you yet as you make your way kind of glee into this room. Rasay, I'm going to hop over to you. What would Rasay like to do in this situation?
Understand it more. So, is the chasm blocking our path? Is that
So it is
or are we? Is the chasm? Can we go to the other side? Is that? I don't
So it
quite
is
actually understand the spatial arrangement.
Yeah, let me fill that out a little bit more. It is a very long, thin room. The wall of cages is along one side. The chasm is along the other side. And if you kind of poke your head around, you can see that there is a doorway at the far end of the room. So
okay, so we don't have to cross the chasm.
You don't have to cross the chasm if you don't want to, but if you want to get to the imp or the thing that is on the other side, you would have to cross over the chasm.
Sorry, I'm still understanding. So you said it's a thin room, but I don't understand how there's a chasm in it. Can you?
It is very thin, as in like 30-ish feet across. And so the thin in proportion to the fact that it's probably 100 feet long. It is a very, very long hallway almost.
And the chasm runs the length of this?
Yes.
This?
And the other side is more rooms, more cells.
So
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm
You-
not understanding it either. So yeah.
So if you're in your cell right now, if you look to the right, there is clearly the way that used to be the entrance to this place, but has now been caved in. And so if you were standing at the entrance, you would be looking down this long hallway with cages on your left and a chasm running parallel with the room on your right. Across the chasm on this little kind of 2-foot strip of floor that remains on that side is this winged bat creature that is pulling on all these chains. And all the way down at the far end of the room is another doorway with a yellow-white glow coming from beyond the door.
Okay.
And you
Yeah.
guys are currently locked in one of the cells.
Oh, and we're locked.
We're
in one of
locked
the
in.
cells.
Okay.
Okay. Ding.
So does the chasm, is it like a man-made chasm, or is it like does it look like something broke?
Or did like the pit of hell just maw open?
It looks like it was originally carved, but has since
Okay.
weathered and eroded away to the point where it's almost a natural look.
But it looks like maybe it was like initially created as an additional security for the cells on the other side or whatever. Maybe.
There are no cells on the other side.
Oh, there are no cells on the other side. Okay.
The only thing on the other side is this imp who is, it looks like it was created as like a pit to keep people in.
To keep,
So we don't see
Gotcha.
the bottom of this pit, right? Like it's
Nope.
just
You
okay.
can just see these like leathery hands reaching up and out every time they try.
And I think clearly Rosé is whispering to Vero, Eliseo, and Parda, and is like, come look through this, like, because we're trapped in the cell, so like come look and we survey everything, and I would say, we have to get out of this cell, but how are we going to get by the imp? It's like that's the first thing that I would be thinking of. If there's a glowing door down the end of a long hall. So I would be trying to look maybe around the room, probably doing a little like,
Okay.
is there anything in this room that we can use to get out of the room?
Okay, so this is like looking around in the cell, trying to get out of the cell type thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is a hunt roll. Before we do that, I should say, the goal for this set is to read the hitching post and learn the spells engraved on it.
Okay. Well, it does change the desire to get away quickly.
At
and
least
we
we
just
have to pick.
we don't know where or what the hitching post is, right?
It is the thing that the bat creature is standing on.
Gotcha. On the other side of this, how wide did you say the chasm is? 80 feet? What?
No, it's the pit itself is only about 10 feet wide.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I
It's
pictured
very
something
long and
humongous.
goes
Yeah.
all the way down the hallway, but it's only about 10 feet wide.
Gotcha.
And
Vero could totally jump it.
I think Rosé
Yeah.
might say, if
Totally.
we can get out of the cell, I can try to put this imp to sleep. Right? Can I? I mean, it's worth a shot. It's a ritual I have, is sleep.
Yeah, I mean, for Vero, that's perfect.
I like that. So let's have that hunt roll first as you kind of look around trying to figure out a way to get out of this cell in the first place. So do you have a skill or a piece of equipment that you're using to help you here?
Well, I would think that maybe a candle might help. I'm a little wary of exposing us, but it seems a little dim in this cell, and if I pulled out a candle, that would help the hunt. So that's what I'm going to do.
Okay, I like that. You light a dim candle and start using it to look around the room. I love that. So why don't you roll 2 light dice? Two ones. So on a 1, you lose all of your current hunt tokens.
Ouch.
Well, easy come, easy go.
So you
Or
had
not so easy
1, so
go.
you get rid of the 1 you had. And you encounter something terrible. And you hear a cackling from across the room as this small creature looks up at the twinkling light and just starts laughing. Oh, look at you. Oh, look at you. You're so late. You're so late. You can't even. So many have come before you. So many have died before you. You're never getting out of that cell. You know that. Why are you even trying?
How close is this creature?
He is halfway down the hallway, so probably a good, maybe he's 30 feet across the hall and maybe 40 feet down, so a good.
Oh, sorry. So the voice isn't coming in the room. Okay.
No, so these are like cell bars. These aren't like rooms.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I misunderstood when I was encountering something terrible. I thought my dim candlelight was revealing another creature in the cell.
No.
So
So
just
the
I was making it
something
worse
terrible
in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
No. The something terrible is that this thing has noticed you now.
Okay.
It is taunting you.
All right.
Well, there goes that plan.
Yeah.
So I think while all of this is happening, I think Alicio is going to sort of like creep off toward the door and start to try to pick the lock.
Okay. I think that is reasonable. So that is also going to be a hunt roll here.
I do have skills and gear and
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
Stuff,
So I think that makes sense. So that is 2 light dice.
Why can I not make the number of dark dice 0? Okay, I just have to type it in. I'm gonna issue a bug report, John. Here we go. 6 and a 4.
That is a 6. So you get a card. You can draw a card from the deck. And
All right.
You like you come very close as you're tweaking from the outside. You your arm slips just a little bit, and you are so close to jamming your arm onto a broken piece of this cell, this like twisted metal, but you manage to like hold yourself stable just long enough to not jam your arm on this rusty piece of iron as the door slowly swings open, and with this like loud echoing freaking groan, and the imp starts laughing again.
So I think Alicia will just sort of like stand up, and he's still looking just sort of like forlorn and dejected, and he is clearly not pleased with his work, but he steps out of the way and just sort of like allows everyone to go through if they would like.
Does Vero get the sense that this imp could fit through these bars?
It's fairly small. It's only about 2 feet tall and maybe 3-4 inches in diameter. So it probably wouldn't fit through the bars, but it is small enough that it could probably get pretty much anywhere else in this room without much trouble. It also
Got
has
you.
wings.
So I want to if it's okay. I want to sort of search for treasure, but the way that I want to do it is I want it to be sort of like Vero is essentially like trying to work his way across this whatever hallway, but he wants to sort of like be opening doors and getting ready to like throw himself into a cell to protect himself from this thing at some point. So he's like checking doors and like trying to like sort of like just like in the shadows kind of creep and like yeah, he's kind of looking behind him to see into each cell as he's kind of going down.
Yeah, and as you do, this imp is just chuckling. You guys think that you're getting out, but you're just coming deeper. You're getting locked in yourselves. Why are you coming this way? This is the wrong way for you. Are you going to spend a hunt token here, or are you going to, or do you want to roll some dice too?
I want to roll some dice here.
Okay, so yeah,
I don't
so
need
this
some
is
more ruin.
This is a hunt roll. Do you have a skill or a piece of equipment you're using? to help you with this?
Let's see here. Let me see here. Yeah, I do. I'm gonna say that Vero busts out a crowbar, and I think he's just sort of like using it to sort of just try to pry open the doors as he's going by.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so why don't you roll 2 light dice?
Ooh.
That's a 2 and a 3. So, you are, I think you're, like making your way through this, like down this set of cells, like looking in, trying to see if there's anything in there. You maybe you like jam the crowbar into one of them, just try it to get it to pull apart, and you hear thump 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 thump, and it's getting louder as you walk down the hall, and then you look, and on one of the doors where there would be a lock and key, there is a human heart that has been impaled on the bars of the cage where they've broken and mangled. And you can see that even though it is dry and old and rotted, it is still beating. And you recoil a little bit and you look back, and it's just a lock. It's just where you would normally open up this cage, but maybe you don't want to do that right now. I haven't heard anything from Parda. What does Parda make of all of this?
I think after Alicia opens the cell door and we start to make our way out, Pharaoh kind of sliding up the far edge, checking these cages and such. Parda's going to take a different tactic. Parda strides out from the cell and yells to the imp, What challenges do you lay before us? We've already escaped the cell. And the thing as tiny as you can't think to stop us.
Oh, I don't have to.
Keep your nonsense to yourself. We'll be on our way.
Nonsense. Oh, he talks of nonsense. Little does she know, little does she know. You'll be trapped here. No, don't you worry. It's only my job to make sure you stay here once you do.
I'll just go bah, wave a hand at him. And I'm gonna start moving down this hallway.
So you're looking at the kind of the other side where the pit and everything is. So why don't you give us a hunt roll here for that?
Let's see. I don't think I have any skills that are gonna help me with this. I have questioning. Wait, but that's probably like interrogation. Is probably a way to phrase that versus like questioning the world.
I
That's
think it's
just-
deliberately sort of vague, isn't it? Because we were doing security for like something different.
Yeah, it's yeah. If you wanna phrase this as like you're interrogating the imp type deal, that totally
so
tracks.
I do think part is, here in a sense trying to goad this imp into maybe like explaining like what is this situation? Like what are you doing here? But doing it in a way that's like, oh, you don't look like trouble, right? Almost insulting it to get it to like
Yeah.
reveal
Yeah.
what's really going on.
Okay. I like it.
So 2 light dice,
You like this.
1 and a 4.
That is a 1 and a 4. So you get a hunt token.
All right.
Give us some fiction as you move into position to like interrogate this imp.
About anything specifically, or just anything and everything?
It sounds like you're trying to goad them into doing something, but what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's part and I'm not great at coming up with specific dialogue, but it's part of saying things like, you don't look like you're so much trouble. What are you gonna do from the other side of that pit? You're busy holding on to chains. You wouldn't want to drop those now, would you? Like you're not a threat from where you are, so I'm just gonna walk down this hall if I feel like it.
So you're just imping the imp harder than the imp's imping you.
Yeah, exactly.
You can tell that they are getting kind of disgruntled at this. Like they're used to being the one that heckles. So you're walking up to this pit, and you can at this point look down, and at the bottom of the pit are probably a half dozen or so of these um, almost like papery husks of a person. Their skin is dried to the point where it's just like flaking leather. Their hair is thin and wispy. Their teeth are all falling out, but they're still moving. They're still clawing. They're still trying to escape this pit, even though every time they get halfway out, the imp just yanks them back in. And you make your way up to the side of the pit, and you actually look over and you can see that the imp isn't just holding the chains. The imp is chained to this post as well. He's standing there, like laughing at you, but you can see that one of these chains that comes out of the post is actually wrapping up and around him and around his wings and basically keeping his wings tight so he can't fly. And he kind of laughs at you. What trouble am I? What trouble am I? I'm no trouble at all. I'm your best friend. I've only been warning you. I've been trying to help you and I've been trying to warn you about this. And he taps the top of the post, and a chain launches itself out of the top of the post and wraps itself around your arm and starts to pull you into the pit.
Vero hides in a cell.
Just immediate. I love it.
I think Alicio is going to try to grab Parda.
Okay. Is this necessarily Elisio? So I think I like the idea of maybe this is a helped role. Is
Absolutely.
Parda the kind of the primary here, since Parda kind of has the most to lose? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, unless Parda's not trying to resist, I would imagine.
No, I think I'll try to resist being chained and pulled down into this terrible pit. That sounds like the right thing to do.
Okay.
Seems
I like
reasonable.
that.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how this changes the dynamic in your relationship.
Me too. So we were doing the helping role wrong. So I actually went back and looked again at how that works. And the way that let me read it all out. I can get down to the thing. If another player is making a risk roll which includes at least one dark die, which this one definitely will, you may offer help to improve their odds of success either before or after they roll. If they accept your offer, say how you expose yourself to danger and roll one light die. They may include your light die's result when considering their overall success. But if your light die matches any of the dark dice in their roll, add one to your ruin. So it isn't that you add another one to their roll. It is that is the extra dice that gets rolled. So I guess we should ask, Parda, do you accept Elisio's help?
I I don't see a reason why not to. It sounds like Elisio does have the option to wait and see me roll first if you wanted to do that, Daniel, but I'm happy to go ahead and take your help now.
I also
Gonna
see. I
help.
also think it's
Gonna help.
very possible that Alicio just doesn't like. Parda just doesn't notice that it's Alicio because you're so like wrapped up, right? Literally.
Daniel, do
That
you
would
want
be
help
fun.
before or after?
I'll help before. Let's
Okay,
do this.
cool. So
just roll one light die.
One light die.
Okay.
That's 4. Okay, so you will at least get a 4. So on a what do you want to achieve? It sounds like you want to achieve getting out of this bind, literally.
Yeah, getting free from the chain.
Okay. What could go wrong here? I think the obvious one is you get dragged into the pit. Does anybody else have an offer for what could go wrong in this situation?
Yeah, I think dragged into the pit. Sorry, I was like thinking about the hand that Elicio reaches out is incorporeal, is why
Ooh, that's fun.
is why Parda, gets drugged.
Okay. Keep in mind, we are already at the success with a complication level, so whatever you guys propose is going to be mitigated somewhat. But
I think dragging to the pit is obvious. That
okay.
makes sense to me.
Yeah, okay, that works. Do you have any skills or items or parts of the environment that you're using to help you here?
I have the escape skill, which if it's ever going to apply now
I
is
think if it's
the
ever
time.
going to apply, now is, yeah, I think that makes sense. And then Devil's Bargains. The Devil's Bargain I'm going to offer is that you don't get out of the chain breaks. And so you permanently have this piece of chain wrapped around your arm that is trying to restrain you in any way it can, even though it is only about 2 feet long. Does anybody else have Devil's Bargains that they want to offer?
Maybe you step to the edge or you get pulled to the edge and you look down in the pit and you see like something that you can't unsee, like something you really weren't expecting, and it looks back in you and rattles you.
Yeah, the face of your witch mother or some other
A Vero clone.
You could also get touched by either something from there as you're falling in, but you don't go all the way in, and that could have an effect.
I like that. Do you mind if I edit that a little bit?
Oh.
One of these hands reaches up and grabs onto your foot. So no matter what, it's going to grab onto your foot. If you get pulled in, it's going to help pull you in, and it's going to be already on you. If you make it out, the hand is still going to be grabbed onto your foot. The rest of it isn't. You want any of those?
I think I like the well, so I like the chain breaking, but does the chain breaking work as a devil bargain? Because that requires me to succeed. Oh, but I've already got a 4, don't I?
You've already got a 4.
Yeah. Okay. Then yeah, let's do the chain breaking, because I like the idea of this like haunted chain, stuck on part of the rest of the
Okay.
incursion.
And then you are definitely going to include a dark die because this is risking your mind or body. So that's 2 light die and a dark.
Okay, and if I roll a 4 on the dark die,
Then
Eliseo gets
Eliseo
ruined.
also takes a ruin.
I got a 6 on the dark die.
That is a 6 on the dark. So you
So I take a
succeed full
ruin.
stop, but you do take a ruin here. What does that look like? As
I think it's, we're straining against this chain, and it's tightening and digging into the flesh, but it's not just the metal bearing into it. There's like this this black touch from the metal as it wraps around, and then one of the links down the chain breaks free, but the rest of it remains tight around my forearm.
yeah, and it's almost like cutting off the circulation to your arm, burning as it goes. And the 2 of you go stumbling back, and this imp just continues laughing as more of these hands start reaching themselves over, and he stops laughing. He get back in here, and he pulls the chains again, yanking them back in. And the 2 of you have a brief moment where Parda and Eliseo look and meet each other's gaze for just a second. And that, I think, is where we're going to cut the session, because we are just about at the end here. I had a great time. Thank you all so much. We are going to do Stars and Wishes off camera. For now, I'm going to sign off. Thank you all so much for watching. Anybody who watched this or listened to this on the podcast, or however you consume this media. Again, this is a production of The Gauntlet. You can find more about The Gauntlet at gauntlet-rpg.com. And if you do, and you sign up for some of the games, maybe I'll get to play with you soon. Until then, I will see you around. Bye, everyone.